And people may be listening and go, God, why does that have to be so complex? I got to get this fancy chair, this or that. Well, because we didn't really evolve to be sitting like this all day staring at a screen. I mean, we're just not really built for this. So it's no surprise that we see so many people with mobility problems. I mean, I've been to several different physical therapy people over the years just for random injuries and aches and pains. And they all tell me that in their careers, these are people that have worked 20, 30, 40 years. They've seen just the rise of younger and younger people having worse mobility because they're just sitting at a desk all day and how it's shortening the muscles. I think it's the hamstrings, right? It's shortening the hamstrings when you sit all day.
Well, I would say it's probably shortening the hip flexor muscles, right? Because the hip flexors, right, when you flex the hip, you're shortening that muscle. So you're creating that muscle shortens, and that muscle is insertion is on the lesser trochanter in the hip flexor in the femur muscle in the femur bone. So the lesser greater trochanter muscle, the top part of the femur, but then it inserts. No, that's where it inserts. The origin is, I think, from L1 to L5 on the spine. And so when you have tighter hip flexors, it pulls super tight on the origin, which is going to be L1 through L5, I think, transverse process. So, and even the ribs. So it'll pull really hard on that back. And so a lot of times your chronic lower back pain isn't going to be from the shearing force from really tight hip flexors. That's part of how lower cross syndrome happens, right? Lower cross syndrome is nothing more than super tight hip flexors on one side, and the other side, weaker glutes and weaker lower abdominal muscles. So weaker lower abdominal muscles, weaker glutes, because you're not using glutes to step up or squat or lunge. And then you're getting these shorter, tighter hip flexor muscles. And that's the lower cross syndrome, right? One cross is weak and loose, or weak and tight. That's your hip flexors. The other one is weaker, and that's the glutes, and that is the lower abdominals. And so this is common. And so people talk about investing a lot of money in beds, right? Like I have a nice Tempur-Pedic bed that's pretty expensive. I know you have a nice bed as well, but we spend just as much time in bed as we do sitting in our chairs all day. So I think people should have, enough money invested in a really good chair that has good postural support. You can go to like different ergonomic stores. There's one in Austin called Human Solution on Anderson Lane. They have a lot of great options. I got my stand desk from them. They have some really good ergonomically certified chairs that are excellent, that have the cervical support as well as the lumbar support. These are really good options to kind of start out of the gate. So kind of my thing is start with like, the easiest buy-in, right? The easiest buy-in out of the gate is just upgrade your chair, maybe get a Swiss ball that you can sit on, maybe get your desk, get a stand desk so you can go up and down throughout the day. These are just simple, easy investments. And then if you already have these things and you want to get more kind of biohackerish, like we are, I have a QB, little pedals here so I can pedal. I have my little, I actually got a new treadmill that slides under my desk that's lighter and it goes to 4.5 miles per hour. And I have a remote so I can just hit it. CUBBY. And then my other treadmill, hold on, let me go look at it real fast. And my new treadmill desk is Rhythm Fun. I'll put the links down for Amazon below. Take a peek at it. But the cool thing is the remote, because you can just kill it, turn it off, turn it on without having to go touch it.
Now, if you don't sit at a desk all day, congratulations. Hopefully you're out working in the field or something like that. Years ago, I was working in the woods and building hiking trails and restoring different natural areas, nature parks and stuff. But man, it killed my back. I mean, it was a lot of work, a lot of labor, and not much pay at all. Couldn't raise a family on that wage. So if you are out and you're physical, great, that's awesome. Or if maybe you're just doing that in your free time, maybe that's counteracting your desk work. I mean, that's what I try to do, is even in the middle of the day for lunch, I'll just try to go out and walk around, even if it's just like hiking up and down my driveway, just something simple, just to break it up. And I forgot what her name was. It was Joan Vernikos. I had her on my podcast probably almost like 10 years ago. And I think she worked with NASA or for NASA. But anyway, she talked about the importance of just standing up and sitting down, and just the change in posture was more important than anything.
Huge.
She said it wasn't necessarily the actual exercise. It was just breaking up your sitting. So if you're sitting for 20 minutes and then you can stand for 10 seconds, that was enough, she said, to, positively impact your mobility.